Hey, what's up everybody? This is Chris from Digital Realm. In this video we're going to show you how to continue to model little ornaments and add some lights and probably some garland. So let's just get to it. Alright, so in the previous video we modeled the ornaments with the ball ornaments here, as you can see. So we're just going to continue this process. So what we're going to do is open back up our build layer. And if you remember from the last episode, we were trying to apply these modifiers. Go to modifier. We were trying to apply these modifiers, but it was giving us this this modifier can't be applied error here. Modifier can't be applied error. And why that is because when we duplicated this this object, we selected duplicate length instead of duplicate objects. And what duplicate length does is allows us to, when we change something about this object, it changes for all the objects, as you probably just saw right there. So, as an example. So you can see all of these are kind of changed now. So if we actually duplicate the regular way, we'd be able to apply our modifier. So let's continue on with that in mind. It looks like I still have some edits here because it's not as smooth as it was before. So we're just gonna, there we go. Okay, now we're going. So what we're gonna do now is, since we know this is duplicate link, we're just gonna use this as a guide layer for creating new shapes. But for now with these, we're gonna select the curve, select the object, and make sure you push Control D or object, duplicate object. If you move the cursor while it's before you push select, it'll move. But you can also hit 0, 0, 0, and it should zero everything out. Z0, everything 0, and then left click and it locks it in. So now we're just going to move this off to the side because that's exactly what we want for that one. So now with that in mind, we can just duplicate everything before we apply our array. We can duplicate it here and it'll duplicate for all the ones that above it. So we're going to turn that back on, and we're going to put both of these in our build. Well, we'll keep them in our working layer, and let's label this working layer. Working. All right, so let's make a new shape here. I'm thinking we're just gonna keep with ball ornaments, probably multiple colors, but we're gonna go ahead and start with the light. So with the light shape, I'm thinking of creating like the teardrop lights that you've seen on the Christmas tree. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar. So we're gonna go over here in the edit mode. Let's go to the top view because we have to have it rotated this way when applying to the curve. So we're gonna go in the top view. Let's get a bigger top view. Hit Q. I'm gonna go to top. Make sure you have the X-ray mode selected here. And we want to select pretty much this bottom 2 rows of vertices. So vertex, select all of these bottom rows on the vertices. And what we're going to do is, instead of manipulating where we only move these vertices, we want to connect. We want to move all connected vertices. And what this allows us to do, let's scale this up because the circle, I believe, is kind of big. When we scale and manipulate it, it'll manipulate everything within inside this circle in a gradient fashion. So we're just going to scale that all the way back down, like so. So it doesn't affect the hook, but we want it to affect the bottom of the light. Now, it was going to be another ornament, but we're just going to make it a light. So we just want to affect the bottom of the light, and we're going to rotate around, maybe scale this in a little bit, like so let's bring it out a little bit more. And you see it's kind of pulling at these other ones, so you get a nice strong a nice mesh here, like so. Perfect. So we're gonna go back into object mode, and that looks like a pretty decent light. One thing that we don't see on lights is this the hook. So let's go ahead and get rid of the hook for now. So we're gonna go ahead and grab the hook, push L, then push delete vertices, and that'll get rid of the hook. When I pushed L, when I hit select, what's happening is you can either go to the select icon right here and it'll be linked, or control L for that, and it'll select everything linked to that, or you can push L and it will do the same exact thing. So that's how we're going to handle that. Alright, so now that we have that selected, we need these lights, instead of coming down like ornaments, as you see on the tree, we need them to go more outwards, out towards just outwards. So we're going to do that. We're going to manipulate this by rotating it and see what this looks like. I pushed T, that brought us our tool manager back. So while I'm rotating, I hit 90 and it'll go 90 degrees. And that's exactly the direction I want all the lights to go. Perfect. Let's look at the nibbit, because or the little hook that's still there. I do want it to be inside of the curve here, and it looks like it's let's turn the tree off so we can see better. Object mode, layers, tree. We're going to turn that off really quickly. But it looks like we need this to rotate so it'll hook in and weave into our actual curve here. So we're going to try this. Rotate 90 this way. And there it is. Yep, perfect. So now it'll weave into here, weave into the actual curve here. We're going to go to the bottom here. Object mode, go to the bottom, F, it selects everything. Let's go ahead and toggle the visibility of the curve and the array off so we can get straight to the bottom here. Oh, we need the ray. Jeez. And the curve. Let's go. And what I want to do is line it up with the actual curve here. And as you can tell, our orientation is different than it would naturally be if we didn't have this modifier, the curve modifier here. The curve and the array modifier applied. So we have to kind of work in a different way. So I think that's pretty good. So we do want to scale this down just a little bit as well. So let's scale it down some more. Get it a nice size. Oh, we have to scale it in edit mode. Control Z, go to edit mode. Let's scale it down. In size. Keep going until you get to where you feel like it's a nice size of lights you want. And you know, you have the big lights, you have the huge lights, and you have the smaller lights. And I think I'm going for the more of the smaller light look for this lesson. You can remove connected for now. because you really don't need that anymore. So now we can just continue to, seems like my connected is still there. Remove, disable connected, and just scale it down. So you get to a nice size. And I think that's really nice right there. That'll be perfect. Let's go and hop into object mode. Let's see what this looks like. Kind of waiting for it to render over here to see what it looks like. But I'm feeling this is a good size here. So what we're gonna do now, make sure since we did scale it down, it seems like it threw our alignment of our the alignment of our curve off a little bit. So we're just gonna fix that really quickly by going ahead and rotating. And my computer's chugging because look how many lights we have here. Man, that's a lot. It's a lot of lights. So let's increase the number between for now, just so we can work with it. And actually, that looks a lot better. So we're just gonna keep it like that. That actually looks better. It's not overbearing lights. Because once we duplicate this apply to array and then duplicate the object, we can get more lights on our scene. So again, what I'm trying to do is just line this curve up with this. Line this curve up with this tools. Let's center our pivot on this thing, which is not working right now either because we have all of these objects selected. And again, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, it's harder to work in when your orientations are different than they usually would be. But some people might be able to do it. I mean, we're doing it now, aren't we? So let's increase it some more, like 20. So I really need the system to kind of work with me right now. It's kind of chugging along. And again, it ties back to what I was saying before. When you have a lot going on in your scene, the more you have going on in your scene, your computer slows down because it's a lot of processing power that takes place. So as designers, it's ideal to have the top of the line machines, but that's not always affordable. I have a pretty beefy machine, but again, I'm thinking for everybody, it's not always affordable. And that's understandable. All right. I think that's pretty nice. Nice. Let's do 10. Go back to 10. Boom. It looks like let's go to 5. It looks like our length might be off just a little bit. So with our length off, we're just gonna boost it just a little bit. So we're at 1067. Let's do 1100. Hopefully we don't overshoot. We overshoot a little bit. So we're at 11,067, 11,000 or 1,075. Close enough. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm gonna put 80. Because I have to make it. It has to be perfect. Perfect. 80 is perfect. All right. So now we're gonna apply the material for these lights so they can shine. Shine. So go to the material tab here. And where it says ornament, because where it's red, the ornament material, where it's red on our object, we want to change that. So we're going to duplicate it by pushing this arrow. And that's actually going to create a new material in place of the material we have for the ornament. So we're going to go ahead and call this tree lights. How about that? Tree lights. And under surfaces here, we're going to go ahead and hit emission and change the color to white. Now, personal preference for me, I like to give it a kind of a warmer feel. I like the warmer lights. We bought some LED lights this year, and my wife likes them. I'm not really a fan, personally. I'm not a fan. They're a little too, I like the golden look. They're a little too hyper white for me. But it's not always about me. So let's go with that. That looks good. That looks really good. So let's see what it looks like on our tree right now. All right. It's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna keep this as a working layer. So what we're gonna do is click on let's move the tree out the way. Select the curve, select the object. We're gonna do Control D, not Alt D, but Control D. Left click to lock it in, and then we're just going to slide this off to the right. So this will be one of our working layers, because essentially we want this to be able to use this to build our shape out and then duplicate the ply to the tree later. So we'll keep that as a working layer. We'll duplicate and move both of these off to the side. So this is our shape where we are creating our new shapes, and we'll just move this off to the side here. This way, that way, that way. Move it off that way, that way, that way. And then put it in our build layer. Just like that. Build layer. Make sure everything's in our build layer, build layer, build layer, blah, 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 blah. Build layer. And there you have it. So we have the lights and we have balls. No homo. All right. So now that we have these working layers, let's just go ahead and duplicate these lights. Again, Control D. Not to be mistaken with Alt D. Click to lock it in. I click to lock it in as before, but now it won't allow us to move it because we have these modifiers and it's still trying to read off the curve. So now we can just go ahead and apply the modifiers, because again, like I said before, if you push Alt D, duplicate link, you won't be able to apply because it's reading off of a referenced object. With Control D, it's not referencing an object, so it's its own entity, so it can do whatever you want to do to it when applying modifiers. Speaking. So let's go to Tools. Let's set the origin to center of the geometry and scale it down a little bit, because what I'm thinking is I want these lights to go inside of the tree and not necessarily on the outside of the tree where it's hanging, because that's where we're going to have our ornaments. So we want it more inside the tree, and I think that looks pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Yeah, if I say so myself. All right, that looks good. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and do the same thing for the balls. And again, this is one of the parts that I really, now that we have the curve set up and we have the light set up, it makes it very easy to do these parts. So, also one of the things I want to show you before duplicating these balls is we're trying to think forward. So we have to think forward through the process. So maybe later on we might want to, you know, add a picture to some of the balls, or add some type of special texture to the ball, or a bump map to the ball so it has a more of a bump but it keeps the same shape. So we're going to go ahead and do the UVs for this ball. And UVs essentially allows you to take an object like a ball, cut it, flatten it out, so then you can take it into Photoshop or any other photo editing tool and paint on it. So to explain that once more, when you UV an object, what it allows you to do is take an object like a ball, cut it or slice it like a grape or something, peel the skin off, lay it flat like a piece of paper, and then draw on it, put pictures on it, and then when it renders into the program, you can see it as if it were on the object, or as if we painted it on the object. And that's essentially what UV is. We're gonna slice the object open and then allow it where it'll be mapped out and ready for painting. So what we're gonna do is select the object, go into edit mode, and essentially we're just gonna select where we want to cut our seams. So this is the first seam there. Let's get out of wireframe mode. I think we're just gonna cut straight down. So let's go 1, 2, 3. I don't know, I'm counting for you. We're just gonna cut down all the way to the bottom. Just like that. And actually we're gonna also do it for this part as well. So now go to mesh, edge, mark seam, and you'll see, well, I have to stay in edit mode, but you can kind of see the red that's now outlined here on the object, and that's where our seams are cut. So essentially, just like a orange, we can now peel it, and that is better shown off when we grab our object, push L for link, so we're grabbing everything so we can see, and all the objects that have been marked with a seam, and we're just going to UV unwrap it. So mesh, UV unwrap. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So in our render viewer over here, we're just going to go to UV and image editor. Click on the results here, and then it'll show you our results for when we UV unwrapped it. And again, you can clean this up. You can make this a lot better as far as making it cleaner, and really just make it where you can paint on it better. There are all kinds of UV tutorials out there how to UV. We're not going to get into that right now, but this is just a good step to get started. And it's always good, a good thing to do at the beginning stages, because if you don't do it now, when you're duplicating layers and duplicating objects and making new ones, you have to do this for each individual one, which that's more work, more time, and we want to keep it simple. KISS. You know how it go. So let's go back to 3D view mode. Stay in render mode. Now that we have that edited and made the right way, at least UV, because you can put grunge on there, all kinds of stuff. You could do all kinds of stuff. We're gonna go ahead and re-toggle our modifiers back on. If you're outside of the modifier, just modify a little wrench here, and I'm just gonna hit the eyeball on each one that we have, and that'll be that. Boom. So simple. So simple. All right. So now that we have the length, you know, it looks like it's kind of going to the top. I don't know if I want this to go to the tip top, but we're going to go ahead and increase the distance between each ornament. So let's do 8. Meow, 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 whoop. Let's do 10. That's better. I like 10. It's not overbearing. So now that we have 10 selected, and we have a few ornaments, just like if I were decorating a Christmas tree, I'm doing all the red balls first. I don't want too many because I'm thinking doing red and gold. So we're gonna do some gold balls. So let's do the red balls. I think 10 is nice. Maybe 15. This is the distance between each ball. You can do 15. That'll make it even more random. But I'm gonna keep it at 10. And then I'm gonna push Control D to duplicate, not to be mistaken for Alt D. Oops. And then I'm gonna just slide. Oh. After you control it, you see it every time I slide it, it squashes it like that. That's because I haven't applied my modifier. So it's trying to scale from my modifier, and we're just gonna go ahead and just apply our modifier there. So now we can just move it. Apply both of the modifiers, and then you can just move it to the tree. Moving to the tree. Tres. Move it to the tree. Just like that. Alright. Alright. So what we're gonna do is, now that we have red balls, we're gonna do gold balls. So what how do I want to approach this? Let's duplicate this whole thing. Control D. We want to duplicate the curve and the balls. I'm going to keep them separate just for the option of having ability to go back. So select the balls. Go ahead and go to your materials. The ornament material, where it says ornament material here, where the material's already applied. We want to select everything that's red, so we're going to hit this plus sign, and that's going to make a duplicate of everything that's red on that material, on that object. So we're going to call this ornament material 2 in comparison to ornament material 1, which if I thought beforehand, I would have named it ornament material 1. And we're just gonna make this a goldish color. All right, and I think that's nice. So we're gonna go ahead and duplicate this again. Left click so it'll lock it in. Go ahead and apply our modifiers. Apply. Move these balls over here. No homo. That sounded a little funny. I'm not trying to offend anybody, by the way. Not trying to offend anybody. Sorry. I'm not a celebrity or nothing, so I know I don't have to make a public apology, but again, I just want to teach. I just want to teach. Don't hurt me. And there you go. We have some, they're kind of orangish, but we have some gold ornaments here. Maybe I'll just stop saying balls, then that'll probably help. There we go. We just bumped it up a little bit. Now that looks more gold. And now we have gold ornaments and lights. All right, let's turn the studio off and see what it looks like without the studio on so bright. Because we may need to turn our light material up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is go into layers, studio, turn it off, or keep the studio on. Let's go to the sun that we have. Use nodes so we can get the intensity of the sun on here. And then just drop the strength down to 0.1 or something. Okay. Let's keep it at 1. What we'll do is turn the studio background color. It's probably just a little too bright. We wanted to make it seem more night, more dark. Let's get it dark in here. Now we're working with something. Boom. So now that's our lights with our Christmas tree. And again, you can add more lights. You still have the ability to modify these curves. You have the ability to modify these curves. So let's go and select the curve, edit. And that's kind of why we want to keep these build layers, because again, we can always go back and change things up. So, and again, it'll follow your edits. So we can create another round of lights to go on here, which, let's do that. Let's just see what that looks like real quick. Real quick. So we're going to take this, we're going to select these lights. We're going to Control D, left click to lock it in. We're going to go to the modifiers, apply them both. We're going to slide it over like so. Right here. We're going to slide over right here like that. And we're going to actually do a tools, do the center to geometry or origin, what they call it in Blender. And we're going to rotate it 90 degrees or 45 degrees or something degrees where it doesn't match. So we want kind of like a double row. And we make it look sexy. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Now that looks a little better. Now we filled up our Christmas tree with some lights now. Pow! Just like that. Alright, so now our Christmas tree is full of lights. Let's scale it back out, because I like the layered look that was going on just a second ago. Like inside outside type of thing. Inside outside. You gave it an interesting dynamic. Boom. And we're going to keep it like that. Alright. So one more thing we're going to do for this lesson. We're actually going to create the garland for the Christmas tree. So how we're going to do that? Let's go ahead and select this curve. Control D. Go ahead and move it off to the side in the X value on the X axis. And how this happens is we're going to do the bevel. You know we've been through this process before, but we're going to do the bevel, but we're going to apply particles, which our particles are end up going to be hair particles. And that's going to create the little shiny parts of our garland. So let's go ahead and do that. So with the curve selected, we are going to go to the curve modifier. Fill is going to be the full. Make sure you're still in 3D. We're going to bump the depth up to 0.3. And I think 0.3 is meh. I have 0.02. It's not much better, but we're going to leave it. Alright, so 0.02, and I want to see, I'm doing so much clicking, my mouse pad about to fly off the fly off the desk. Alright, so we want to add more resolution, so boost the resolution up to 10 maybe. We're going to do some extrude on this one, so let's do to 5. Oh, not that bad. We want 0.05. We don't even want that. But you can see it's creating like a shoestring effect, which is kind of cool. But we don't want that. So 0.01. I can live with this. 0.01 I can live. Actually, let's just leave it at 0. Let's just keep it circular. So resolution, all of this is good, 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 good. Everything's good. All good. All right, so we're gonna make sure it's selected here. And we're gonna go to a modifier, add modifier. We are going to do a So before we can do that, we have to create the curve. We have to convert the curve into a mesh. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So go select the curve, object, do this up here. So convert to mesh from curve. And now that it's a mesh, as you can see, now that it has points, each of these individual points here, or faces, better yet, each individual face will sprout hair. Yep, sprout hair. So what we want to do now, that because we can see that, you know, they're kind of far in between, and this is supposed to be kind of a hair thing. You see I can manipulate it now. It's not a curve anymore, it's a mesh. But now that I can manipulate it like this, we can go ahead and apply go into object mode, and we're going to go ahead and apply a subdivision surface to this. Now, when we select it and go into edit mode, what's going on is it'll subdivide our surface. It's going to take a second to kind of render out. All right, I'm gonna, it's giving me the wheel right now. You probably can't see it on the render right, or the screen capture. So I'm gonna take this subdivision surface off because it's taking my machine out. So we're gonna just take that off. When I can, yeah, there we go. So we went ahead and just took that off because that's not going to work out. Not going to work, buddy. So what we want to do is select the curve, or select now the mesh that we generated from the curve, and add a simulate, go under simulate, and add a particle instance, or a particle system, I think. Particle system. Now particle system, we're going to call this garland. Not the high school either. Now we have this particles option, particle system option, and we're just going to go right into there. But we don't want it to be an emitter. We want it to be a hair, be hair in general. So the hair length is kind of long, but you can see all the hair is popping out, popping. What we're going to do is go ahead and bring that hair length down to 0.04. See what that looks like. A little stubby right there. So we're gonna bring it back to 0.1. And I would say that's about the length of some garland. That seems about right. So we're just gonna go ahead and toggle through these options really quickly. So with the material, let's go ahead and do this. Select the hair, little hair follicle there. And we're going to go into the materials, and we're just going to add the metal material so it'll match our hardware that's on our, whatever hardware we decide to put on our ornaments, it'll match. So we're going to go back in the particle system here. Now the hair length is done. The numbers need to boost because you see it looks very not hair-like. I mean, not garland-like. So we're going to do the 50,000. Oh, did I make it look sexy? All right. Now we have some type of garland. It looks very, 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 very garlandy. So we're going to do, and that's a little too thick for me, so I'm going to do 30,000. Not that could be confused with Andre 3000. You can tell I'm probably getting a little, yeah. Anyway. So I think that's pretty nice. I like that. That looks good. Looks good. Looks good. So let's just see what settings we possibly would want to make this look a little better. So we're just going to go through the whole thing. So emissions, we have our hair emissions that we did. Use the modifier stack. Sure. Let's just turn it off. Hair dynamics. This is, I would assume this is if you want to add gravity to your hair, if you're trying to animate it in a certain way. Which we're going to go ahead and turn it on because we might get some kind of randomness here. That's a good idea. 3. Let's see if we can get some randomness on these different hair strands. Random. 10. Oh, it only goes up to 1. So stiffness. Let's take the stiffness down to 0.01. Let's take the mass down to, or up to 1. And again, I think this is a lot that has to go with, I'm trying to manipulate the hair where it isn't like the straight around thing. I think this a lot has to do with if you're animating the hair. So we're going to just skip that step again. Cache, that's if you're animating the hair again. You want to cache out your system. Or cache out your hair dynamics, and then so it won't bog down your system, so you can pre-render your hair. Render, emitter, unborn, dyed, parent. And we're still going through this hair system. So display. Yep, nothing there. For me, children, nope. Field weights. That's if you have some type of force field or force that's manipulating your hair. And I think this is just the main part I want to get to. Let's do the thickness at the root of the hair at 3, maybe even 10. Let's see what 10 looks like. And I'm not sure if I'm just not seeing it because hair, you have to look at it in the render view mode. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and take this garland over here. Over here to our tray. Take it to the tray. That's when you know it's really real. Yay. Alright, let's set our origin to the center of geometry really quickly and go ahead and flip it like so. So it'll go the opposite direction of our lights. Gives it like a little zigzaggy look. And that's actually some pretty good looking garland there. I'm not mad about it. Not mad about it at all. All right. I think this is a pretty good tree. Let's go ahead and turn these lights back up. Or turn the studio back up. Oh, before we turn the studio back up, let's see if we can make these lights a little bit brighter. So we're going to select the lights. And again, I'm selecting these lights because they're the same lights. They have the same material as the other lights. All I'm really trying to do is just get to the material so I can boost the strength, probably times 3. Let's say that then. There we go. Huh? Yeah. Now we talking. That's how you light a Christmas tree. As you probably tell, I'm getting kind of tired. And when I get tired, I get rambly. Alright, so let's go ahead and, now that we know what it looks like in the dark, let's go ahead and just boost our studio back up to make it look all nice again, like I like it. And that's nice. Nice. And I think this is a good stopping point. So in this lesson, we actually accomplished a lot. After getting the curve done, made it very simple. So now we have lights, we have red ornaments, we have gold ornaments, and we have garland. And how we created the garland was how we created all of them using the curve array modifier with the ornaments, which you can place them by hand as well. Also with the lights, did the array modifier, did the lights, and with the garland we used the curve, created it into a mesh, and then applied a particle system of hair to that mesh that we created from the curve. So once we kind of toggled the settings for the hair and made it more garland-like, we just dragged it across the Christmas tree, and look, you got a Christmas tree. If I continue another episode in here, we might do a star, maybe some presents under the tree. But I think this is a good lesson to kind of show you the main steps of how to use a curve and an array modifier to place objects or animate objects, or just how versatile the use of a curve is and how you can use that as a tool. So with that being said, thank you for viewing this video, and hopefully see you in the next video. Later. Bye.